After a long journey, when she finally reached the farmhouse, she wanted to smile bitterly at herself because the place's existence had contributed the most to her current situation. When the girl who had celebrated the 19th birthday a few months ago, still unaware of what was going to happen, she took her luggage and stepped into the farmhouse. Is Grandpa awake? She lowered her tone to ask the man standing at the door. Probably. With that short answer, the gentleman left the place. The 162 centimeter tall girl did not look up at the gentleman's face. She unnecessarily guessed that the gentleman would be perhaps 11 or 12 centimeters taller than her. However, she noticed the gentleman was wearing black formal pants and black boots. One breathed deeply before twisting the doorknob to open. Grandpa? And she couldn't control herself anymore when she saw the man who had kept her safe for so long, surrounded by various life support machines. She had been harboring so much anger towards this man for so many years, but seeing him in this state, those angers seemed to lose their existence in an instant. The house was renovated. There were no longer two separate houses in that place. Those were combined to a new house. Definitely, one was aware of that fact, but after that incident, she didn't get a chance to visit this place. A lot had already happened. Her parents had divorced, and she had become busy with her studies. Seeing Grandpa Kim lying on the bed, her mind almost lost its composure. Although the interior decoration was very beautiful, still she was not able to appreciate the beauty at that moment due to her unstable state of mind. However, everything that was catching her eyes seemed quite impressive to her. Grandpa Kim was sleeping under the influence of medicine. For a moment, she considered leaving the room as she didn't want to disturb him in any way, and it seemed quite difficult for her to quietly suppress and control her emotions. She quietly stepped outside the room and heard a manly voice. Grandpa called you. It was just a statement, but the respect in his tone was so obvious, which impressed her. Hmm? She uttered and walked towards Grandpa Min's room. When the old man forcefully curved his lips. The concern in his eyes was clear and obvious. Grandpa, when greeted the old man with a warm smile. How are you? Fine. The old man chuckled. When? You need to know everything before anything happens. And anything can be happen any moment. Van looked at the old man's face, tried her best to control her emotions. You wanna tell me about the setup you arranged? The old man just nodded as he had nothing to say to justify the situation. Why, Grandpa? When asked with trembling voice. Because by then your parents had already decided to divorce. Your other siblings had become independent. You were still young, studying, and your future and your security were the first priority. The gentleman confessed with all his sincerity. By then, no one wanted to utilize this farmhouse property as it is situated in a quite offbeat position. After that settlement, when they came to know about the inheritance of this property, then our basic priority was your safety because they even made a plan to erase your existence. Sorry for the interruption, Grandpa, but do I exist in the life of the person to whom I was bound? I told you this in the context of you talking about the possibility of my existence being erased. Don't get me wrong. Van said firmly. You may not believe me, you may think that I am his own grandfather, so I am speaking for him. No, I am telling you this by testing and verifying with my experience what I have heard directly, indirectly. He still feels guilty for that behavior towards you. If I say that after that his life has stopped, then that would be wrong. Probably the he part of his life that was connected to creating music, that being may have died. The old man honestly spoke the truth. She stared at the old man with wide eyes because she couldn't believe what she had just heard. Music was the only thing about him that attracted her. In this situation, she couldn't utter a single word as she didn't know what to say or how to react. That's not the main point of discussion, Van. Well, let me explain the contract to you in detail. The old man took a file from the table and started flipping the pages. This contract became valid when you turned 18. According to that contract, if you had filed for divorce within 6 months after being adult, this contract would have become invalid. Perhaps my grandson tried to contact you after you turned 18, but you did not reply to him. So, one asked, since you did not file for divorce within 6 months of turning 18, you are now legally husband and wife. You are now 18 years old and will likely be celebrating your 20th birthday in a few months. The old man handed her the file. She started reading the file but couldn't understand properly because it was written in quite complex legal language. Grandpa, so what is the way to get a divorce now? If it is proven that my grandson is having an affair with a woman other than you, then you can file for divorce. The old man sighed. When, why you are so reluctant to even talk to him? There is no such reason, though I was just busy with my studies. I was nobody's favorite person, no one's first choice. Everyone around me has something they would prioritize over me, and I was just left alone. One chuckled sadly. Today I had to take the blame for something I had never complained about to anyone. Will you talk to him once? Give him another chance? You may not want to, but I would like to ask you for this. The old man requested. I am here for a few days now. If he is free tomorrow or the day after, that would be convenient. Feeling tired, when yawned. You look exhausted, my child. Have some rest. Grandpa kissed her hair. After leaving Grandpa's room, she looked around. She was not familiar with any other room except his own. The renovation work had changed the interior of the house a lot. However, she somehow managed to identify the room. She had the feeling that he was not in this farmhouse at that moment, so she went straight to that room and opened the door, turned on the lights in the dark room. As soon as she entered, she noticed a pair of familiar black boots neatly arranged. She raised her face and saw the man sleeping soundly on one side of the bed. Wasn't having any issue with the exposure to light. There was no other furniture in the room except the big king size bed. It was clear from the look of it that the renovation work was not yet complete. Although the room looked clean, there was fine dust particles on the floor. Her tired body had no choice but to sleep in the same bed. She fell asleep as soon as she stretched her exhausted body out on the bed. Her initial mindset was that she would get up very early the next morning. She had never been a morning person. On top of that, her long journey had left her physically exhausted. She opened her eyes to a warm feeling on her forehead. The clock on the table showed that it was 3 in the afternoon. She instantly felt embarrassed. Grandpa, he may not have much time left. I didn't want to disturb your sleep, but Yoongi uttered. Hmm? She rushed towards Grandpa's room. Grandpa was having trouble breathing. Maybe he was tired of that. Even the artificial oxygen couldn't support him much. Just a sigh. She couldn't understand how a person could become an orphan in a moment. She couldn't understand how the shadow under which she was raised suddenly lifted from above her head in an instant. With all her strength, she stood up, and the next moment she was embraced. All she could feel a strong chest. No, she didn't flinch, though she had the strength, but didn't feel the urge to break that embrace. Why does everyone just leave me? Didn't they even think of me when they left? How am I supposed to survive here alone? I am used to being alone, but I don't like being alone at all. I am forced to. Why didn't Grandpa ever understand? We have tried every possible way to treat him. He has also tried hard to survive. Everyone has a certain lifespan, and you are not alone. I am with you, by your side. Can't you forgive me for once? Van's head was close to Yoongi's heart, so she could feel his heartbeat. Okay, I am not insisting you to share your happy moments, but let me be by your side in this difficult time. Don't push me away from your side, please. I have become very intolerant. I have nothing to ask from you, nor do I have anything to give you. If I utter the word love, I do not even have the mentality to say it to you. The one who left me always wanted to see me with you. At the time of his final departure, I would pretend to be with you. When murmured. She was shocked to see the person she loved the most in her life confined to a coffin. She didn't even know how she had managed to hold herself together in the midst of so many people. She noticed how the 23 years old boy tried to do all the funeral work in the best possible way, taking all the responsibility and initiative himself. She spent the next few days isolating herself in the same room. Yoongi's presence in that room kind of didn't matter to her as she wasn't in that mental state. Her sleep cycle was disrupted. Whenever she remembered her late grandfather, she cried. Yoongi was there in the same house, decided to work from home as he chose to be there by her side. There were many times when she would fall asleep in the same spot after crying in the corner, and he would take her to bed. When she woke up, she would find herself in bed, always knowing who had taken her to bed. On the other side, even though Yoongi had been doing all of this out of a sense of duty, he still hoped that his behavior might leave a mark on her mind. That night, when he was putting her to bed, she didn't let go of his hand for some reason. So he had to lie down next to her in that position, having no choice. In the next morning, when she opened her eyes, she found him sleeping next to her. Her grip on his wrist was loosened, but it was still pretty obvious that she was the one who was holding his wrist. She didn't feel the slightest doubt about her own behavior because she had been doing so many things like this for the past few days. But every time she had done something like that in the past, he had carefully placed the pillow as his substitute. This time, she felt a little strange as she found herself in his embrace for the first time. She stayed like that until he woke up. When he tried to pull herself away from his embrace, she grabbed his wrist. So, do you cuddle with me like this every night? Or did we fall asleep like this last night because you were tired? She sounded rude, guilty, confused at the same time. Yoongi just chuckled and replied, I need a proper answer, Mr. Min Yoongi. Wen looked frustrated. What do you expect as an answer? Yoongi said. The truth? Wen maintained a solid eye contact with him. Truth. Yoongi chuckled again. The truth is, there are so many truths I want to tell you. He paused. The truth of our last night, Mr. Husband. Wen almost roared. Last night? Yes, I was tired and also your grip was really tight, but if I wanted, I could easily free myself from your grip, Yoongi said. Then why didn't you do that? Wan looked confused. Last night, my wife was holding me. Honestly, I couldn't resist the temptation to experience what marriage is like, what it feels like. That's why I didn't let you leave last night. Yoongi curved his lips. Every day I thought maybe you'd talk to me, but you never. I never thought you'd initiate a conversation for this. By the way, your voice is so sweet. When can't I get a second chance? I am really sorry and ashamed for that day. Can you please forgive me? Okay, I give you the second chance. And forgiveness? Definitely, it was you, the first person who ever made me feel low, but after that, many people treated me like that. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm quite thick skinned now. She sighed quietly. I have to prepare for the semester, though I have enough time, but I guess this time it would be hard for me to concentrate. I'm just wasting the time here. Plus, as long as I stay here, a void is consuming me that my grandpa is gone. I am just an orphan now. Even if I go to the dorm, sit at my desk, and think about the fact that my grandpa is gone, it may take me a while to get used to it. That's why I want to live. The time is limited, and I don't know how long it will take for me to get used to the reality of my life. She took a deep breath. It's completely normal, and I'm grateful to you, but something happened, and I swear I wasn't involved at all, but for some reason Yungi was stuttering, so Van interrupted. What reason, Mr. Min? Actually, the Kim cousins did an RTI to find out about Grandpa's will, and they found out that almost all of Grandpa's assets are yours. The unclaimed assets are mentioned to be divided equally among everyone, meaning you are also a co owner of their assets. They or someone from them sent your university a proof of your marriage, probably out of anger. Yungi looked nervous. Oh, so? When asked, being totally uninterested. I am aware of the fact that med students can also study in our university. The rules for them are the same as for the singles or the unmarried ones. Yungi nodded. You are right, but if I'm not wrong, you stay in the college dormitory? The dormitory is under the college management system, so the authority takes care of the food, cleanliness, security system. Because I stay in the college dormitory, I don't have to deal with these situations. Wan confidently stated. Yungi nodded again. Have you ever seen a student living in the college dormitory who is married on paper or socially? By the way, I'm not referring to the couple who are just verbally committed to each other. I don't know. But why are you telling me these things? Is something wrong? Van asked. Because one of your mighty cousins informed the institution where you study. The governing body had to take action against the mail, and you can probably enter the dormitory to get your luggage, but you can't stay there. Yungi shrugged his shoulders and then lowered his voice. I didn't dare to ask you about anything. Sorry. Really? Helplessness shone in her eyes. Since I haven't had any problems with the food for so long and I don't really like eating out, or you can blame my poor digestion system. I never had the desire to explore the city. The city always seemed so lonely that if I suddenly had to go out to find shelter, I don't think I would be able to do it. Yungi sipped the coffee. Mrs. Min, I don't want to pressure you, but you need to be a little more aware of the real estate you own. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't want to know. I just liked this place, and that was where it all started. That was the beginning. It doesn't matter if my life is ruined. It's just a feeling of guilt that your life is tied to mine. She sighed. Mr. Min, let's divorce. Now he was enraged by her words. He felt like forcing her to bed to make her understand her wife duties, but Somehow he managed to gulp down to suppress those words from uttering. He looked at her angrily. Your mighty cousins are against letting you stay in the college dormitory. Do you think they will let you leave if you officially come out of my surname? I don't think of them as anything but brutal human beasts who plan to kidnap a minor girl for a piece of land in this dusty wilderness. Since you have proved your merit and have taken admission in the college and are studying with 100% scholarship, there is no doubt that no one is forcing you to take this course. With respect to your talent, I would like to tell you one thing that you have a house in that area. Yes, you did not get it through inheritance. I just liked the peaceful environment of the house and I bought it because I thought that if I take you to the environment and apologize, you might forgive me. The natural beauty of the place may favor me to melt down your anger. Anyway, I bought it out of love for my wife at that time. Probably it is not very far from your college, but not very close to the campus either. It may take a few minutes. I request you to stay there for now. If you find a better place to stay later and want to leave, I will definitely feel bad. Resting her chin on the window frame, she looked out the window. For the first time in a while, she felt good. She had already checked the email regarding her stay in the college dormitory. Even in such a huge uncertainty, she wasn't willing to worry about this matter. He assured her, and she was melted by the words of her contract husband. Feeling reassured, a gentle smile appeared on her lips. Obviously, Yoongi noticed that. He realized he had made too many harsh comments about her cousins. For a few moments, a comfortable silence prevailed between them. He was thinking to leave before he could taunt her cousins more, but one broke the silence between them. Why did you stop playing the piano? Obviously, he hadn't expected that question at that moment from her. Huh? He couldn't answer properly because so many questions were swirling in his mind, but his heart was filling with joy, seeing her concerned about him. How did you know this? Did someone tell you? Did you ask anyone about me? He managed to ask. The day I arrived, I noticed a layer of dust on the piano. I was surprised and also felt very bad at the same time. No one in this house plays or knows how to play any musical instrument except you. I'm really missing those scenes of you practicing the piano, composing new songs. One uttered the words while pressing her index finger on the window frame. Do you want me to start practicing the piano again? Yoongi asked. Why did you stop practicing piano? Instead of answering, she asked him a question. Yoongi sighed and sadly chuckled. Music is not mathematical equations. If you calculate properly, it will be solved. It is not a business deal that can be cracked. It is a pursuit that requires inspiration. To be honest, I was aware of the fact that you liked my musical practice and I liked this very much. I cannot call it inspiration, but the day I misbehaved with you, I felt so guilty. It felt like my soul had become impure. Since that day, I haven't had the courage to touch that musical instrument. Then why don't you start practicing music again? When asked. I can, but then you have to be more responsible and obedient, although you have always been very obedient. Yungi immediately replied, "What's your planning then?" she asked. I have to go out a lot for business purposes. You can say, I don't have a fixed place to stay. When I get used to a routine in one place for a long time, working on a project, after completing the project, there is mental pain in leaving that place, along with the pressure of starting a new project, the urge to adapt a new environment. I don't know how much I can do, but your request will really be on my mind, Yoongi said. Then, will you keep another request? Will you come with me? Will you stay with me for a few days? Even though the place is not unfamiliar to me, I feel very scared now. I do feel alone. I have no one else except you, I guess. Looking at the floor, she managed to utter in a low voice. Even if you hadn't said that, I wouldn't let you go alone. Yes, here I was afraid that you might misunderstand me. Yungi took a deep breath. However, let me tell you a few truths about living in that house. Your college and our commercial business headquarters are located in the same city. I live in that house during the last week and the first week of the month because it is convenient to work in a home environment. You also can say that locally staying at home is also convenient than staying in a hotel for employee management. I don't use the master bedroom, not very late at night, but I return home quite late, quietly, without getting drunk, except when I have to attend those boring business parties. I usually leave the next morning after breakfast. Yungi completed. Well, after living in one city for so long, did you ever think of meeting me one day? When you knew that our grandfathers were ill due to old age and I had no one except them? Did you not think of me even once? A suppressed pain was clear in Van's voice. Jungi realized that his position was like walking on a double edged sword. He had no choice but to honestly admit the truth. Although I was told that you had done very well, that you had proven your qualifications and got admitted to the most prestigious college in the city, but I never knew in which department you had got admitted. In the city, there are many renowned colleges. I didn't know which department you studied in. And of course, I never showed any interest in knowing what college you were in, but I was always hopeful that I might run into you in the city. One chuckled. Then there was no chance of us meeting. Yungi forced himself to nod in agreement because he knew that grandpas wanted him to go and meet her, but he refused every time because he focused about not further deteriorating the relationship between them. One thought, how could a man who was associated with music can be so unromantic? Is the gentleman who is asking for a second chance really interested in winning me over? Yungi focusing on the laptop screen. When? There are tickets available for the early morning flight tomorrow. Otherwise, tickets will be available after the next 3 days. Tell me which one you prefer. I'm asking because we have to leave very early in the morning and you definitely are not a morning person. Feeling humiliated, one frowned and said, book the tomorrow morning one and don't fuel your stereotype mentality. I may not be a morning person, but I'm not lazy. Glancing at her in between work, Yoongi thought to justify himself. I never called you lazy. But the next moment he curved his lips, thinking she might not be ready to accept the marriage, even not ready to accept me as her husband, but she knows her position very well.